Madam Clerk, would you call the first item, please?
Mr. President. Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish a two-story wood frame, one-family dwelling and remove all litter and debris from property in Baldwin.
Okay. I do believe I have one individual who signed in to speak on this matter, so I'll call him Brian Bateman.
Good morning, Councilman.
Name and address for the record?
Yes, Ryan Hempstead, 1037 Raymond Boulevard, Newark, New Jersey. I'm an attorney for Optimum Loan Servicing, which is an interested party in this matter, case number 6542. The board's name.
Mr. Supervisor, today, is this going to be foreclosure? Yeah, this is going to be foreclosure. I know. Mr. Bigham is actually here for 62 Prospect Street, which is the third hearing.
Oh, okay. So we'll call you back, Mr. Bateman. Sorry about that.
No problem.
That's the way it was marked, that's the way it was marked in, so, okay. Does anyone then want to speak on the matter pertaining to Cove Neck Road? All right, there being none, then I will accept the motion.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the petition be adopted.
Do you have a second, please?
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasino.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish a two-story wood frame, one-family dwelling with attached garage and remove all litter and debris from property in Roosevelt.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? Okay, there being none, and motion, please?
Close the public hearing and move this petition.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasino.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish a two-story wood frame, one-family dwelling with detached garage and remove all litter and debris from property in Roosevelt.
Okay, Mr. Bateman, you're up.
Thanks. Nice to be here this morning, and I'll just repeat for the record, Brian and Bigland, Esquire, 1037 Raymond Boulevard, Newark, New Jersey, Dwayne Morris, LLP law firm, appearing for Optimum Loan Servicing. They are an interested party, they're not the deed holder of this property that's in question. And I came out today to request an adjournment, to request an additional window of time for you to carry this resolution. This is the first time this matter is appearing for this board, and even take, we will accept everything, although the photographs and the report of the commissioner is true, but my client, fire up, is that a line?
You sure with that, gentlemen? Okay, start again.
All right, and my client is looking, they are not the deed holder, and that's an important issue or distinction here. They are a contested foreclosure, and we don't need to get into the inner dynamics of that, but it doesn't resolve overnight. Now, there is pending an offer to accept the deed in lieu of foreclosure, which is, as you may know, one way to resolve a contested foreclosure. At that point, my client, or the people that my client is acting on behalf of investors, would then be in control of the property. And to be blunt, they feel that they would be able to resolve this more swiftly, more cost effectively, and having the city intervene, which for them would lead to a tax bill and potentially a tax lien by the time they actually get control of the property. Now I'm asking, out of the hopes that they can resolve this and actually get their deed in lieu of foreclosure, which settles the contested foreclosure action over the next several weeks, and then be able to have the deed for the property and take control, and quite possibly demolish it themselves. In order to have that ability, and sitting in the opposite position that they are not being in control, this property is being damaged by the former owner's negligence within meeting to have that opportunity. If it's at all possible, they'd like to do that, and I think they could
Well,
resolve.
Mr. Big, what we customarily do in these cases would be, we would move ahead with respect to this particular matter today, but stay implementation of it for 30 days to give your clients the opportunity to do what they need to do. So that would be that's essentially the practice that we've followed in the past, and that's what the board would be inclined to do today, which would give you 30 days to get all of the legal ducks in a row, so to speak, and move forward. And I think if you stay in contact with our building department in terms of the progress, I'm sure we can proceed in a way that protects the public and meets the needs of the community.
All right, something longer than 30 days might be best.
Well, we'll let's just say we'll stay for 30 days, and then we'll keep in close contact with our building department.
Is there any way to have that in the resolution?
No, we will pass it, and as I said, we've done this is our customary practice, and it's what we would be inclined to do. If that's not satisfactory, we'll just move forward without that understanding. So.
Right, okay, and one here, that there are some defects in the procedure that's unfolded. I think it's important for the board to know. Pursuant to section, chapter 90, which is at the time code, there, for a notice of public hearing, there needs to be a notice of survey. And it needed to be a survey conducted by 2 people. There was no notice of survey. There was first the chapter 9 notice of violation. The time elapsed, according to section 90-7 and 90-8, what needed to file next was a notice of survey. We were not served with one. I don't believe there is one. The survey next needed to be conducted by a commissioner designating an architect. 2 people pursuant to 90-8. The survey was conducted by 1 person, an architect. And more to the point, when you look at that survey, and the inspector has cited subsections 2, 3, 5, and 6 in the definition of dangerous building in chapter 90. I would ask that the board, before they vote, they look at the survey and they look at chapter 90, the definition of dangerous building, subsection 2, 3, 5, and 6. And I submit that you will find that that those standards, those definitions are not revealed in the survey, which is the evidence being put forward by the commissioner. So if the board's not inclined to adjourn, I would ask for a consideration.
Thank you for your input, Mr. Clinton.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this matter? Can I have a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the petition be granted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Castillo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Baldwin, Elmont, Lido Beach, Merritt, Oceanside, and West Hempstead.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, take a motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Is there a second?
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Castillo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Baldwin, Elmont, Oceanside, and Woodmere.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter? There being none, I'll take the motion, please.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Castillo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Levittown and North Valley Street.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter?
Mr. Supervisor,
I
I
move
move.
that the, this is Uniondale.
No,
Restrained, but I will yield to you.
no, I think we're on Levittown Stream, I think we're one off. Yeah, we're one off, we're the one before, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Levittown Stream is what we're giving them now.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted. Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman Kingston.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding prohibitions of left turns in Uniondale.
I have one individual who signed in to speak on this matter, Martha Ann Brady.
Good morning, Martha and Brady, 17 Myers Court, Uniondale. I am in favor of this. I'm just concerned because there's been a number of accidents at these two intersections of Jerusalem Avenue and Hawthorne and Leonard. They kind of offset one another, not directly across. And I'm wondering what kind of things are going to be done besides maybe a sign, maybe a right arrow only kind of thing that's going to be set up there?
Tommy, representing traffic control. We'll be issuing these standards, or these, no left turn restriction, or have a left arrow symbol with a red slash through it, and that'll be posted at the intersection on both sides of the road.
Okay.
So when traffic comes out, we'll be able to do the sign. It'll be posted to the right, and then on the far left of the road, like on the opposite side.
Maybe police officers the first few times that it's, the signs put up there, so that,
Well, obviously, the police department is not under our control. We'll certainly communicate with the appropriate individuals at the Nassau County PD and ask them to monitor it once the signs are up for people to get used to them again.
yeah, because they can go on to the map from the south, go Rutland Road where there is a, not Rutland, maybe it's Rutland, with a traffic light and Florence Avenue with traffic light, so
Very good.
have options. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So anyone else would like to speak on this item? Any council?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman Kingston.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Franklin Square, North Belmore, and Uniondale.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on this item?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the local law be adopted.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman Kingston.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding gross weight restrictions in water.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, I will accept the motion.
Supervisor, move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilwoman Kingston.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding tow-away zones in Inwood.
Mr. Supervisor, I have an amendment to that local law.
Go ahead, please.
My amendment would be to include no stopping to the existing regulation of tow-away zone on the northwest side of Gates Avenue, Inwood, between Roger Avenue and Bayview Avenue.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the amendment? Do we have a second on the amendment? So we'll call the roll on the amendment.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Kingston.
Okay, now let's have a motion on the item as amended. Councilman?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the local law as amended be adopted.
Is there a second?
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding public parking fields.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? Being none, I'll accept the motion.
Move the public hearing be closed and propose local law adopted.
Is there a second? Anybody?
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding in relations to placing certain restrictions on commercial marine vessels in town of Hempstead.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on this item?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
I second that.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes.
Next item, please.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Elmont, Franklin Square, North Belmore, Oceanside, and Roosevelt.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, I'll accept the motion.
I close the public hearing and adopt the proposed, recommended and adopt the proposed
Second.
resolution.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Okay. On the decision calendar, please.
On the decision calendar, we have proposed amendment of section 336.G3 of Article 33 of the Building Zone Ordinance in relations to prohibiting coin-operated or other fee-based air compressors at gasoline stations in town of Hempstead.
I'll accept the motion, please.
I move the decision and would recommend its adoption.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item on the decision calendar, please.
On decision calendar, we have applications of R&B Acquisitions and Development, Inc. to rezone from Residence A District to Residence CA District in Melbourne.
Okay, I'll accept the motion, please.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the application be approved.
We have some people that want to speak about this.
We had the public hearing, there is no comment on the decision calendar. We had the public hearing several weeks ago, in which the public was heard. This is just the issuance of the decision.
Do we have some new information or you would like?
This is the issuance of the decision. And there is no public comment at this time. Go ahead, please call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, now on the administrative calendar,
Supervisor, on the administrative calendar today, I have items 1 through 56. I also have 3 resolutions that are of urgent nature to be added to the calendar. The first resolution reads as follows. Resolution calling a public hearing on the proposed amendment of Article 34, Section 352 of the Building Zone Ordinance by addition of a new subsection H thereof in relation to certain height and story restrictions, in the flood zone, in the flood hazard zones. This will be item 57 on administrative calendar. The second resolution is as follows. Resolution adopting a negative declaration, determination of non-significance in accordance with the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act SECRA, process for applications for amendment to the conceptual master plan for the Mitchellfield mixed-use MFM district and for site plan approval for the Memorial Sloan Kettering Regional Center MSKRC project in Uniondale in the town of Hempstead, New York. This will be item 58 on administrative calendar. The third resolution is as follows. Resolution approving applications for amendment to the conceptual master plan for the Mitchellfield mixed-use MFM district and for site plan approval for the Memorial Sloan Kettering Regional Center MSKRC project in Uniondale in the town of Hempstead, New York. This will be item 59 on the administrative calendar.
Okay, do any council members wish to sever any of the items on the administrative calendar? Being none, I'll accept a motion on the administrative calendar.
Supervisor, Mr. Supervisor, I move items 1 through 59.
Is there a second? Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on the administrative calendar? You have one slip that was signed in for the administrative calendar, that's Mr. Corpacci. Name and address for the record, please.
Boris Procacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. On those additions that you, to the administrative calendar, referring to the Mitchellfield proposal, why wouldn't they put on the calendar at an earlier date?
Well, it was a scheduling issue, but Mr. Levy will explain in full detail what we're doing and where we're doing.
There was extensive review of the applicant's application, which really concluded within the last couple of days after the calendar was published. And we went about the task of putting together the paperwork in time for this meeting to accommodate the applicant who has business reasons involving its relationship with the county as to why this needs to be done urgently.
And could you go into detail, just a little bit of detail for what we're actually...
Oh, sure. What we have here is an application for site plan approval, which follows the applications that you witnessed to for the adoption of the conceptual master plan. This is a piece of that which has been broken off by the county and is in the process of being sold to the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center for the creation of a regional center at this location right by the Coliseum. What is happening now, the next step is to approve the site plan for this particular application, but because we were not writing on a clean slate, there were a couple of adjustments that needed to be made to conform this to the conceptual master plan and to the zone itself, all of which happens at the town board level and requires a SECRA finding, which is why you have two different resolutions. But ultimately, this is a site plan approval for what they're proposing, which is a two-story treatment center and research center for cancer patients and associated parking for 452 cars in a garage.
No, the only reason why I bring it up is because I know, I don't live in the area, but I know that a lot of people may want to comment and they would not know that it's on the calendar. And, I'm not sure why it couldn't have been added yesterday or
I think Mr. Levy explained as to why it had to be done expeditiously, but...
Well, in the future, if this is the case, like if you knew yesterday it was going to happen, you could send out your email blasts. People who receive your emails, they could receive it. It costs no money to do that. Just so, because I know there are a lot of people concerned about how the development's going. I haven't really commented too much on that, but I just, in the future, just to notify people, I think would be a great idea. Okay, on item number 26.
Yeah.
It was about a year ago, almost to the day, I think, that I asked the question, why haven't we installed the lighting at Cherry Valley ball fields for which we borrowed money? And I was told by Town Attorney Joe Ra that it was going to be done after the end of the baseball season. And a year has passed, the 2015 season has ended, and we haven't done the work. Now we're looking to do a grant. We're sitting on a lot of money that, we're paying interest on, and we haven't gotten any of the benefit for which we borrowed the money. I just really want to understand what the thinking is. Do we have any bids out for the Cherry Valley ball field lighting? Do we have any, intention of doing it this year?
Well, what we're doing here is in order to mitigate the impact on taxpayers, we are getting a grant from the state of New York, but in terms of timeline, I mean, Mr. Zappola, would you come forward, Commissioner Zappola? Tell us where we are.
It was delayed at the state level on the grant.
It was delayed at the state level. Yeah.
That's really the short
Okay,
answer.
it was delayed at the state level.
Yeah, but we borrowed this money at the end of 2014, so there was no intent of grant, I guess, at that time, so we borrowed it with the intent of
Responsible for
paying.
delays at the state level. The state is now moving forward, and as I said, this money will limit the impact on
No,
taxpayers.
I appreciate that, but that's not the real issue. The real issue is we borrowed money, sat on that money for a year and a half, did nothing, and now we're going for grant. We could have done nothing, and we could have not had to pay the interest on that money. That's my issue. Okay, item number 31, you're establishing the fees for the unmanned aircraft. As many people spoke at the hearing when we passed this law, it was unclear. Let me ask the question. If I'm flying an unmanned aircraft 50 meters from a town park, do I need a permit?
You need a permit to fly a drone within the confines of a town park.
No, I understand, but if I'm 50 meters away, because your law said vicinity.
Mr. Muller, the question is, if someone, we're gonna now, with respect to how close you can come with the drone to a town facility, the question is 50 meters.
That would be considered the vicinity.
So how about 250 meters, is that vicinity?
You gotta pick,
Well, you plan on putting people in jail, at least in
No, we
legislature,
don't know.
if you violate the law, so I like.
what is the definition from our perspective of vicinity?
The town code basically says that vicinity would be like 50 feet. 50, so
50
and I have to look at the code, but if it's not defined in the statute, the town code says a reasonable, common use definition. To me, I think 25 yards would be in the vicinity of the town park, town facility.
I
So
feel,
the reason why, by the way, other jurisdictions write it that way is because you have to actually have a calculus degree to sometimes figure out exactly where it is in terms of the angle of the flight of the observer. So most jurisdictions use the vicinity argument.
I have an issue with, of course, I mentioned the law itself, but $1,000, how long is the permit for? It's not specified in the law.
It would be for specified numbers of days. It would be for,
Incidentally.
Mr. Muller, how long would the permit be for? Once the permit is obtained, it would be for how long?
For the well, since the permit has to be approved by the town board, the idea behind it was that the town board received the duration of the permit was not, it's going to be voted on.
But it would be,
3 days.
yeah, it would be for,
the duration of the filming.
it would be for a specified number of days as indicated in the application for the permit.
Correct.
If they needed for 3 days to film a commercial, it would be, and the board granted it, it would be for 3 days. It's not open-ended, it's case by case.
Oh, well, yeah, but it didn't state that in the.
Now you have the answer.
Yeah, but the thing is, people who read the law won't know that unless they come here or watch the video online, so I think I've mentioned this, you need to write legislation that doesn't leave so many loose ends, so people understand what it is, how you break the law. You should specify the vicinity, you should specify the duration of the permit, so it would be $1,000, so essentially, it's gonna recreational, unmanned aircraft, essentially, no one's gonna spend $1,000 to fly an aircraft. You could buy 2 of them for that. Okay, thank you so much.
Here. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on the administrative count? Item, administrative count. Come forward, please.
Jean Mary Baldwin, President, Town of Hempstead. Just needed some clarification with regard to items 57, 58, and 59. Just kind of taking some quick notes to 57 related to, are we talking about actual height restrictions or waiving height restrictions?
57, what it does is, right now, on the current town law enacted right after Hurricane Sandy, if your home is located in the FEMA designated floodplain, and you seek to raise your home in conformity with FEMA regulations, we would waive the variance requirement if the home was damaged in Hurricane Sandy and you owned the home at the time of Hurricane Sandy. What this measure would do would simply would remove any of the two restrictions other than the two qualifiers, other than the fact that the home is in the FEMA floodplain. If your home is in the FEMA floodplain and you are seeking to raise it to the FEMA standards, you would now not have to go for variance, regardless of whether or not you own the home at the time of Sandy or it was damaged. And the concept obviously is to help residents, make it easier for residents who own homes in the FEMA floodplain, to make it easier for them to raise their homes, should they choose to do so, to make them more resilient against any future storm like Sandy.
Okay, so you're saying that's a waiver, but one of the requirements is that they own the home. What about?
No, they have, now, obviously, to raise the home, you have to own it. But what this law would now change is, you could have just bought it 6 months ago, and the home could have been undamaged in Sandy. As long as it's in the FEMA floodplain and you want to raise the home to FEMA standards, you will be able, assuming this passes, you will be able to do so without the requirement of time and the expense of going for a variance.
Okay, so if you did not own the home during Sandy, for example, if you have zombie homes, because we do have residents who've left those houses.
There would no, the current owner could come in and raise the home to FEMA standards, absent a variance or the time or expense of the variance.
Okay, and 58 is what?
Well, we went through that, Mr. Lee, would you do it again, please?
58 is a secret resolution, if I have the numbering correct.
You do.
59 is the actual site plan approval. So, with your permission, let me take them in reverse, if that's okay.
Fine.
59 approves the site plan for what will be called the Memorial Sloan Kettering Regional Center. That is a facility at which cancer patients can go for treatment, and I believe research will also be done there.
Okay, now that's different from the extensive site plan that was presented with regard to Mitchell Field and the Coliseum and the stores?
It's not different, it's a piece of it.
Okay.
As the zone that was created in that area around the Coliseum, the Mitchell Field multi-use zone,
Right.
was set up and required the establishment of a conceptual master plan.
Mm-hmm.
No one had particularly applied to do the things, but it was just a vision of how the property might be developed in order to comply with all the provisions of the zone.
Okay.
Now we have a specific applicant coming into a piece of that zone and wanting to build a very specific project.
Okay.
What they're proposing was contemplated on the conceptual master plan, but there are some slight variations. So in order to get to the site plan approval, which this resolution does, it needs to conform itself to the conceptual master plan, which it does, and there are certain things that have to be conformed to the zone as well, which the zone itself specifically provided for to allow flexibility, because no one knew at the time that the zone was created who was going to develop the real estate.
Right.
So number 59 brings the site plan and the master plan in the zone into alignment. And And to get there are very small steps, so I'll be happy to go through you if you're interested.
I'm familiar with construction, I'm just saying it's a process, but I'm concerned about what I'm perceiving, okay, in terms of the lack of the potential transparency and things that's happening. There was a lot of issues with regard to the overall Mitchell Field development and how many of the Uniondale residents and those who are impacted by that facility trying to get to the college, et cetera. Just in terms of the impact study, because you're talking about a medical facility, you're talking about treatment, and you're talking about potentially hazardous waste, additional traffic, increase on the sewage and the water supply. So how does all that incorporate into this in terms of an impact study and the needs assessment for the residents in that area who are already challenged?
Let me say a couple of things about that.
I'm listening.
The specific answer to your question is that goes back to Resolution 58, which was the environmental review to see if there was a significant enough difference, which there was not, between what was being proposed as the site plan and what the community participated in with respect to the approval of the conceptual master plan. And the negative declaration finding is that it's essentially the same as was investigated as part of the conceptual master plan approval process.
So it's very nominal in essence in terms of change from the conceptual idea to the actual.
With respect to this piece of the project.
Right. But are the residents going to be advised with regard to this new development and the potential hazards and things that they would need to know with regard to this? Because again, we're talking about a medical facility. We're talking about what that requires in terms of the additional stresses on a very challenged infrastructure that we have in the town of Hempstead and Nassau County.
Everything that you're saying was also correct at the time of the consideration of the conceptual master plan.
Right, but the infrastructure has not been updated as yet. So we're still talking conceptual, but most of us live actual. And my other concern is Memorial Sloan Kettering. Is this going to be because they are considered a not-for-profit? Is this going to be some type of, folks like to use the word pilot around here. I'm not talking about the ones that fly an airplane. And the taxpayers are the ones at the end of the day who have to address this. Because I believe Mitchell Field, the developers are now looking for additional tax breaks.
I can't answer
And that has
That has nothing to do with it? Oh, okay. Okay, I think that pretty much answered that question. Under item 5 on the calendar, there were some, I believe there were 3 properties involved. One, I would just like to address this to that.
Mr. Shores, if you would, item number 5, the item 5 is.
And-
Mr. Supervisor, they were 2285 Harrison Avenue, remove 858 Lincoln Avenue, and 2314 Milburn Avenue.
Wait, what's the Lincoln address?
I'll give you the 2314.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, finally, I just want to know, in terms of budgeted costs for advertising for this year, what are the budgeted costs for advertising and what has been spent to date?
What do you mean by advertising?
Flyers, brochures, pamphlets, changes in the signage, folks got to get their names out there, pictures.
That is something that we obviously don't have off the top of our head, and to the extent we can quantify it, I think Mrs. Beery will.
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of like actual budgeting, don't you usually do some kind of year-to-date or monthly tracking on the expenses to determine what you need for your advertising costs?
The advertising costs, yes, we do have, I don't have it at hand, but yes, we do have annual advertising costs for various entities.
We'll be more than happy to get that to you.
Okay, I just want to know what was the budgeted amount for this year?
You don't have to get out of
The publicity budget for this year was $50,000 for television advertising. There are other advertising components included in that. I think sanitation is $25,000. There's in the budget. The planning department, I believe, advertises $25,000, and I believe the tourism department advertises $35,000.
Right.
We'll be more than happy to get you. Just contact Mr. Deary. We'll be more than happy to get you. whatever you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. Oh, just one point of support, in other words. I'm really very happy to say that many of us in Baldwin are very happy with the efforts that have been taking place with the facades. We do appreciate that. It's been a long time coming, so I do want to thank all those that have been involved with that. Erin Sweeney, et cetera, Councilwoman, and all those, and definitely Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Just with regard to the church on the corner on Grand Avenue and Stafford, I think that is. They seem to be having some brick pillars there, and we're just hoping that they're not going to be able to put up that fencing that we tried to challenge, because we had heard that at meetings that we initially fought it, and it was tabled, and it was brought up again, and it was approved, because that if there is a fence that's going to go fully around that corner, we have a school up that street, it's going to be very detrimental. There was another accident on Grand Avenue yesterday, literally almost knocked down the 20-mile-per-hour sign that people are really not paying any attention to on Grand Avenue. So again, I'm here.
What I'm going to ask is, the doctor from our building department who's standing in the back, when you go back to your seat, we'll talk to you, you'll give him the exact location.
Okay.
And he'll look at it and get back to you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Anyone else on the administrative calendar? Okay, then there being none, we have had a motion?
Yes.
Then let's call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye on all items except items number 58 and 59 on the administrative calendar on which I was recused myself.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Aye, except for item 31, I recuse myself.
Accept the motion, please.
Second.
Thank
And
you.
there was a second from Councilman Hughes.
Thank you. Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Supervisor Santino, I apologize.
Hold habits by heart.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, now on the public comment aspect of the meeting, and we'll go with Diana. State your name and address for the record.
Diane Madden, 243 Cherry Place, Meadow. Lucille, I believe, is going to be reading some comments from a petition raising public awareness to remove Mr. Pastore from the director position at the animal shelter. And there are many comments from not just people that, most people that have had hands-on experience as rescuers, as volunteers, as the general public. I really think, based on the fact that you're not getting all the information that you need from your staff to take action, that you should personally start reading the comments from your constituents, many of them. The one that, to me, was most concerning and most accurate is one sentence. And it talks, referring to the town, saying, they just can't get this right. And at this point, I tend to agree with that there's been enough time and enough testimony from many different people and an investigation to show that there's gross negligence and abuse of power, and that's just the stories going on under his leadership. I wanted to mention again, since you don't get the information, for the second time, the rescue coordinator has stopped and refused to post urgent animals on the town's Facebook page. Another retaliatory act on her part. although I highly doubt she will be written up for insubordination. That's what it is. And someone that we pay as taxpayers to advocate and rescue these animals, this should be a labor of love to her. And to refuse to post these animals for whatever her reasons are this time is outrageous. I am glad to see that no undeserving employees at the shelter. I don't see any promotions, which is admirable, and I see that at least one of the wonderful volunteers have been reinstated. Although those are great actions on your part, unfortunately it's not progress. It's just fixing some of the damage, but there's a lot more damage. The situation I also want to talk about is our discussion about what to do moving forward with the Nassau County SPCA and Mr. Rogers, who has made a habit of dumping animals on an already overcrowded shelter and an understaffed shelter. And I brought to your attention that he has many options and resources, including a $200,000 donation fund, including the DA asset forfeiture fund. He can triage animals, he can bring in animals. The last thing that should happen is that animals go into a shelter that is really already a hoarding case. We just found out about a dog that is not even, it didn't even come in for a resident. These animals are being brought in and left there with no options to get out. You know, in looking back in the last 6 months and how I really put my faith in you, I realize that there's a layer that's obstructing a lot. It's kind of like the Bernie Sanders situation where he started this, you know, he wanted to do the right thing, and now all of his followers are saying, no, we're doing our own thing. Well, we have leftovers from the Cape Murray administration that refuse to follow your orders and refuse to bring you the correct information. And that, unfortunately, isn't a setup for me, that's a setup for you. Because the public is going to look to you and why you've allowed this and why nothing is changing. I look at the situation here as that the reason they've done that is because they have a henchman in charge of the animal shelter. They have someone that has bullied out, abused, isolated, punished good staff, the experts that were brought in, and instead has brought in political favorites and has rewarded people that agree to stay silent. That's what we have here. All I can say, Supervisor, is at this point, I'm not going to waste my breath recommending that you remove him and get in the right kind of leadership that can turn this around, because I know already from what we're seeing in the past few weeks that that is what the public will do. The public will take care of this situation in the same way they had to take care of it last time, by demanding their money is used and spent on someone that is working for the animals, not for the party.
Peter Meredith? Meredith, still with us?
J. Mary Baldwin, New York. Again, I just feel like I'm a stranger in a foreign land here. Just the ongoing challenges, and I definitely hear the frustration from the previous speaker, and my issue continues to be the lack of comprehensive outreach and development for our veteran businesses and real employment opportunities for our student veterans who are leaving here in droves. Not only that, our talented young people who get quality education in New York State but cannot afford to get a job to stay here. As a matter of fact, my own godson, who graduated with honors from Freeport High School and recently got his bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from RPI in Troy, New York, is now working in Hartford, Connecticut. And most of his friends who are, all part of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics platform that we espouse so much are working in other locations outside of Long Island and New York. So that continues to frustrate me, but it also continues to motivate me in light of any obstacles. My challenge will continue, and if it means that the efforts towards better business development will have to be utilized outside of New York State, because it just seems that here we seem to be more focused on keeping our veterans challenged and going to locations where they can get their benefits addressed for the most part, or we can have them riding around in the parades during holidays. Then I'll just have to settle myself with that. Secondly, my issue also has to do with, again, the cost that we are not providing the resources for residents who are not able to participate in this process to understand where their tax dollars are going, that we do not have the web streaming or live streaming to allow residents who are not able to attend these meetings on a regular basis.
We do have live streaming of town board meetings.
We do?
Oh, absolutely, we've had it for months.
Well, that's something that I didn't know.
Yeah.
That might have got lost in that beautiful brochure that, had your picture. But that's good to know. But I think we should also look at
It's
having
also covered in Newsday,
more.
and other media.
Well, Newsday, no offense to Newsday, but there's just so many things, that are negative that are going on in the county that you can't get through all that to get to the news of the day.
I can't help that. We've had it as a policy here for several months.
Okay. Well, I think we should also have more meetings in a time period that are conducive for people who are able to attend the meetings and to have their voices heard, because it just seems that a lot of activity is taking place and decisions are made, and the taxpayers are finding out about it after the fact. And then it's, an oops moment and an apology can't bring back the increase in taxes, or the fact that we have these zombie homes that could easily be rehabbed and we could coordinate with our veteran services. The one person that handles the veterans issues in the town of Hempstead, and the 2.5 people who work on veteran services in Nassau County, considering Long Island has the largest veteran population in New York State. We could use that opportunity to try to address the soon-to-be homeless issue that we have among our veterans, as well as providing some affordable housing for our students so that they can stay here after they get their education. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to say, because I'm not going to get myself all worked up, because it's kind of like everybody's nice and they're nodding and they're listening, but there's really no change. So I just wanted to come forward, I guess probably because I read in the paper recently about the passing of Tuskegee Airman Julius Freeman, and because I carried the booklet about the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, how they continued and they never quit, and they kept their heads up and they used their brain. So basically it's in memory of them and all the other veterans and those who are voiceless in our community that I continue to come forward, as long as I can keep my own health challenges at bay from being a 9/11 first responder. So I do appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening, and maybe I've thrown a rock in the pond that has generated some ripples for someone, either one of you sitting behind me or somebody sitting in the audience. I don't know, but as you say, I'll be on the lookout for the live stream just to see whatever updates we're paying for in Newsday. Thank you.
Lucille Defina? Name and address for the record, please.
Lucille Tafina, 2749 Merrick Avenue, Merrick. Now that Supervisor Santino, are you listening?
Absolutely.
Now that Diane is not meeting with you privately and telling you the reality of what is going on in the shelter, I now have to revert back to the hard job of coming to these town board meetings and trying to explain to you in a short period of time what is going on. I really am sorry that we are going back to doing this, but it is extremely important. The problem that I'm having is there are so many issues and so many people pulling at me to tell you their story, their experience, that it's impossible to go through all of these letters and things I have to say. I just want you to know that I'm going to give you some of the things. I have a resignation letter here from an event coordinator that resigned, and no one even cared, no one even listened to her resignation. She did incredible work there, and she says in her letter about how she watched the shelter deteriorate. And I would read you some of the things out of here, but there are so many worse things going on. There are letters and statements about negligence, abuse of power, the animal shelter now hoarding animals and obstructing adoptions. When you go into the shelter, every dog has a cage card that says, "Please do not walk me," and "unavailable for adoption." They're pending evaluations. You have no behaviorists, and they're doing that on purpose. They do not want these animals to go out to adopters. You have a director who is petrified of liability. His ego is so big that all he cares about is having everything go out through hand-picked volunteers. So you have volunteers who are begging for adoptions, begging for supplies. You actually have, and I have a folder here from a bunch of volunteers, begging for toys, beds. You go into your shelter, the cages are totally empty. The dogs are sitting on cement and there's nothing in their cages but dog shit. And they are unable to be walked and they are unable to be adopted. What is going on here? You know, people need to be reminded that for a shelter that's begging for supplies, you have supplies budgeted for $170,000 a year for supplies. Why are the volunteers begging for supplies? They're begging for medical for these dogs. Every single volunteer has another Town of Hempstead page begging for money to give dogs medical. They need to know that your budget for medical supplies is $150,000 a year. You have an on-staff salary vet making $100,296 a year. You have a vet assistant and a tech, two of them, making $104,000 a year. You have a payroll of $3.2 million a year. You have overtime in $119,800 a year. You have a contracted vet who is actually doing most of the work that the staff vet should be doing, and he is making over $100,000 a year in contracts, not in salary, not even a part of that payroll. Why are volunteers begging for medical and supplies? And this is exactly why your staff likes Michael Pastore, because all he cares about is securing these jobs. But you can't have both. You can't beg for supplies and carry all this money within your budget. Where is all this money going? Now, on top of all that, I am being asked to read some of the statements that are in the petition. I am a former foster care provider for dogs at Tojas. Before Michael Pistori took over as director, I was called frequently to foster seniors and medical case dogs. I have not received one call of help since. I have called several times. I have been ignored. She needs to be reinstated. Supervisor Santino, can you consider reinstating Candace? She has called the shelter many times. She has fostered senior dogs. Why is she being blacklisted? Here's another one. I worked at Tojas from 2011 until this February. I'm a guidance counselor, a practicing psychotherapist. I have seen a fabulous animal shelter decline to the point where I cannot and will not be there again because of the deplorable conditions that I have seen put into place by Michael Pistori. It breaks my heart to see a thriving, clean, loving shelter devolve into a kill mill. I adopted a pet last August who was riddled in ringworm.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Finn. If you would please, just, you can give
The cat I will. The cat was riddled with ringworm to the past of almost death.
Thank you very much.
That's how she adopted this animal.
Please provide that
About
materials to the
15
clerk, and it'll be part of the record. Mr. Felix McConchie?
I just want to say
Mr.
one more.
McConchie, are you coming up?
Yeah, I am. I'm waiting for her.
You're relinquishing your time.
I'm waiting for her.
Mr. McConchie, either begin or you relinquish your
Okay.
time.
Sorry, Phil, sorry.
Take it easy.
I don't want to do that to you. Please don't do that.
Thank you.
Maybe I just for the record.
Felix Bocacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. At the last town board meeting, we passed that tow car legislation, which was, I guess, in limbo for over a year. This is a partial text comparison of what was offered back in March of 2015 and then the new version that it came out with. And it's a very sophisticated program. It doesn't just do a comparison, it lines up the paragraphs, so it's a pretty, you can see how each paragraph changed, doesn't like just do a raw comparison. 3,404 words added, 649 words deleted, 30 words moved, and 13,800 words matched. 6 pages added, 38 pages replaced. Now, you have to take it in context, and I went through it, because you have to go through in detail. There's large sections that paragraphs added, yet you didn't have another hearing on it. My question is, why didn't you have another hearing on the legislation that has changed so drastically from last year? Tow car legislation.
The changes were not considered drastic. The changes were considered not to rise to the level of having another public hearing. And it was outside counsel. Just so you know, there were meetings with the tow car industry. You might know that at the hearing there was not objections because there was consensus of opinion that this is the way to go. But the reason is that it was not deemed to be at the level to have a new public hearing.
Okay, because I mean, you added a whole paragraph, towing advisory committee. I mean, that wasn't there before, but you did consult with the tow car industry on this, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, did you consult with people who deliver compressed air, like free air equipment and gas stations prior to passing that legislation?
We met with them when they were here at the public hearing.
No, prior to the public hearing, did you meet with them?
But that wasn't.
Only one council member.
Excuse me, please, no speaking from the audience.
I'm just asking, prior to going to the hearing, did you have did you consult with the
Prior to the
people
public
who understand the
hearing,
business?
prior to the public hearing, no.
No. Okay, I noticed there's a few other things I'm going to talk about, but this is important because in one case, you seem to have extensive consultation because from my recollection, I have a video, the tow car industry basically blasted you because there was huge amounts of misspellings, words were compressed together, it was, grammatically incorrect, and you spend money on outside counsel to write up this legislation, and they basically insulted you. Everybody here, the lawyers, the lobbyists, and everything, basically, it was garbage, essentially. They told you that to your face. And then you consulted with them and you worked with them. But you, with the free air that you want to impose on people for God knows what reason, because you've raised taxes and fees and everything else over the years, which are far greater than the dollar or so people spend per year on air, you didn't consult with that industry. And I just really would like to know why you didn't consult with that industry, but you consulted with another industry. It seems like you have different, preferences.
Move along, Mr.
Move on. Okay, you're filing a lawsuit against Grumman and some other companies. Did you have any consultation with Grumman and the companies that are involved in the lawsuit prior to filing the lawsuit?
There were conversations with Grumman's attorneys to see whether or not we could resolve the issues without litigation, but they were not fruitful.
How many consultations did you have?
That's all. This is litigation, not going any further.
Okay, I'm saying, did you meet with them 3 times prior to filing the litigation? I'm talking about prior to the litigation, not after.
You have your answer, Mr.
Okay, I mean, once again, you're not working, I think that we cause a lot of problems in this town, and the taxpayers end up paying because you don't work with the industry, you don't work with certain people you don't want to work with, and some things you just want to push through. And I noticed that some times you meet with the civics, you meet with this, you meet with certain constituents, and you work things out prior to the meeting. But with some people, you just throw them under the bus. And, the people who supply compressed air to the town of Hempstead are one of the people you threw under the bus. You didn't even, there was no discussion as to the legality of this. You just force them to litigation. If they object, go to court. That's essentially the town's position, and that's really horrible. But anyway, another thing, your windows and restaurants law, you've indicated to me that you provided all the documentation I asked for in a FOIL, and all you did was send me the law. I have receipts and stuff from invoices indicating that an outside law firm helped craft this legislation. Is that correct? Beckman Hennig? Did he help? Did that firm help craft the windows and restaurant law? And was that cost charged to the Billy Dean versus the town of Hempstead case?
I don't believe that that's accurate.
Oh, no, I'm asking you.
I'll check the file. I don't believe that's accurate.
Yes and no, I don't
We'll check. We'll check.
Because there are, there's documents that show that there's legislation being worked on with the invoices, given by the invoices on the Billy Dean case. So why is the Billy Dean case is a litigation, a dispute between 2 parties? Why are you spending taxpayer money to craft legislation during litigation? It's kind of like moving the ball field during the game. You're moving the bases. When the guys are aiming first, you're changing the location.
I don't think that that's accurate.
You could not think. I'm just saying, it's the documents that came from the town that tell me this. I didn't make it up out of my own head. I didn't hear it. It wasn't hearsay evidence. It was documents that the town attorney's office provided me. So, you don't want to talk about it, but don't talk about it. One more thing. The building department is still charging $5 for 8.5 by 11 or smaller paper. I just went up there this morning to get a couple of building permits. There's still small size paper, and if you press, add the card, whatever that button is, it's $5. It should only be 25 cents to get 8.5 by 11 per the law. So I wish that would get changed. Mr. Norello told me it was going to be changed. Mr. Rodkamp told me it was going to be changed. I talked to them both at prior meetings, prior to coming here and talking to you about it. So I did my legwork prior to that. I brought it to their attention, it's been on like 2 months now. The $5 is still on the computer system, it should be 25 cents for 8.5 by 11, up to 14 each paper. So that's FOIL. And you also charge $25 for searches, the searches should be free also for FOIL. They wouldn't even give me the form, I asked them for the form in the building department, just so I
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Procacci.
They wouldn't give me the form.
Thank you very much, Mr. Procacci. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in the public comment section? If not, have a good day, ladies
Yes,
and
we'd
gentlemen.
like to be heard. We'd like to be heard. Where you going, Mr. Santino? Come and sit back down? Oh. Supervisor Santino, members of the town board. Oh, I'm sorry. William McCabe, 120 Cherry Street, Old Park, New York, 11301. Supervisor Santino, members of the town board, town residents, taxpayers, and small business owners. Several months ago, my father's business model came under attack by the town board. My father provides working, well-maintained, and clean coin-operated compressed tire inflation machines for motorists within the town of Hempstead. Motorists can reliably fill their tires for a nominal fee 24 hours a day. Proper tire inflation costs motorists less than $6 a year. Supervisor Santino, a Republican, and I use the term loosely, has announced yet another attack on small businesses in the town of Hempstead. Supervisor Santino and a few of your silent, scared, and intimidated fellow council members have decided to vote against this. And to pass a law that bans coin-operated compressed machines, hence requiring stations to provide them on their own, costing thousands of dollars a year. Councilman Blake, a conservative, you voted for this? Councilman Hughes, you're a small business owner in town. What if there was legislation that could possibly affect your small business? Councilman Sweeney, your father, a great Republican. How would he have voted for this legislation? And Councilman Esposito, a retired police officer, you know the cost of damage and vandalism that can happen to something left in the parking lot, left to thieves and stuff. And you voted against it. Senior Councilwoman Guzzi, you have the ability to be a dissenter here. You have the ability to be a voice of reason. How are the hard-working families in your district, the small business owners in your district, feel about how you voted today? And Councilman Ambrosino, we met with you. Clearly it didn't sink in, and clearly you didn't discuss this with any of your other council members. I would like to explain to the town residents exactly what I meant with Councilman Ambrosino on. Service station vending allowed for service station vending, when hearing about this possible legislation, asked to meet with the town board. Only one of them showed up. And we said that we would install 2 free air compressors in each councilmatic district in a place of the council member's choice. And that would be completely free to town residents, and service station vending would incur all the costs and all of the fees. The cost of these repairs and installations would be incurred by us. Additionally, service station vending offered the town free advertising space for pet adoption, for town concerts, for town events, youth development, and sports. That's tens of thousands of dollars of free advertising space in some of our busy sites.
The thing is, there is a connection between the resolution.
We also agreed to keep our prices
Windows and
at the same and what they remain at now for many years to come.
It happened prior to the legislation.
And as I said before, Councilman Ambrosino is the only one who showed up. Allow me to explain the effects of this decline.
Everyone got more
No,
time.
everyone got more time, and I'd like to continue, Senior Councilwoman. Thank you.
But you can always leave that with her.
I would like to continue. My friends, family, employees, and I will use every legal power and right granted to us by the United States Constitution that this board clearly violated to expose everything that you have done. I will do all that is legal and within my realm of the United States Constitution to expose what you're doing to this town and to its taxpayers. We will be on all forms of social media. We will be on all nationally and locally syndicated radio stations that support and give a venue for people to express these constitutional violations. We will be on all local and cable television, and we will contact every legal organization that will be willing to help us. We will have a website with a witty name that will be emblazoned everywhere in this town. We will continue to attend every single board meeting to express our concern and encourage others to do the same. You work for us, and we decide who comes and who stays. We will appear at large town gatherings and venues with where you and each and every one of your voters appear. We will prominently and conspicuously tell anybody who will listen about what this town's businesses and taxpayers have gone through. The result of your rulings are more shuttered and boarded up windows, more abandoned storefronts and homes, and more giant box stores. My father, friends, family, myself, and I will be spending several hours a week dedicated to this until victory can be declared on our side. Supervisor Santino and the board members, don't underestimate the power and the determination of a 30-year-old man with a master's degree in political science that has nothing to lose, and the blue-collar company that I work for, and the people that we employ. But wait, there's more. The Long Island Gasoline Retailers Association and the Gasoline Auto Service Dealers of America and Service Station Vending Equipment will be filing yet another class action lawsuit against this town for mandating something that cannot be funded, an unfunded mandate, and for inhibiting free enterprise and violating our civil rights. So now, the taxpayers have another burden of another decision that this town board has made. Supervisor Santino, you have brought another lawsuit that will cost the taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars. Council members, you allow it. This will be your legacy. This will be what you are remembered for, and I'll make sure of it. Supervisor Santino and members of the town board, your political machine has met its cessation, and we're throwing a wrench into its gears, and I'm no joke, and we're no joke. I wish you the best of luck, and may God bless you, and may God bless America.
Anyone else?
My name is William McCabe. My address is 120 Cherry Street, North Park. I am the owner of Service Station Vending Equipment. That was my son, who's very passionate about this, as you can see. Based on this, I'm the one that's affected most by this decision. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment that I placed in gas stations based on an agreement I made with the town in 1991. This decision will financially ruin me. And despite what Councilman Ambrosino said to me many months ago, we don't want to put you out of business, well, obviously, he does. My business is a business model based on servicing individuals and gas stations with reliable compressed air. The residents will also suffer as a result of this decision. But what I want to know is, what do I tell my customers, my vendors, my creditors, my family, my employees, many of whom live in the town of Hempstead? My son, who was a college graduate, gave up a career possibly in business in the private sector to work for me. What is his future going to be now at this point? My son-in-law, my daughter, and my granddaughter recently moved to Long Island, to Franklin Square, in fact. They lived in there 2 months. Rather than staying in Boston, they decided to relocate to Long Island. Potentially my son-in-law was going to work for me. I guess that's not going to happen now, is it? So in closing, I don't know what's going to be the result of this for the motorists. I guess that's what you're trying to help at the end of this. But I did present a rather lengthy dissertation to Councilman Ambrosino, explaining that many of these free machines will be broken and will not work, and the servicing of this equipment will be offered to the lowest bidder, and the quality that I offer, the quality service that I offer, will no longer be in effect. I really don't have anything else to say at this point, but we will of course fight this. 33 years, I fought many battles, and this is just another battle we'll be fighting.
Anyone else? If not, good evening.
Bunch of criminals. Yeah, you too.